Hey guys, it's Blitz, and I'm back with a new video talking about Hytale's combat, weapons, and everything we know about them. If you enjoyed the video, consider dropping a sub because I am so close to 200 subscribers, and it's also free and you'll know when I upload. Anyway, let's get into the combat, starting off with the first type, melee combat. Hytale has many melee weapons like swords, axes, hammers, spears, and even more. Each weapon has its own rarity, DPS number, durability, speed, and if it's one-handed or two-handed. From the gameplay we've seen, melee weapons will have a primary attack and a secondary special attack that could take a bit to charge up. So far we've seen that special attacks are when the player glows a bright color like blue and releases a powerful attack with their weapon. You'll most likely use the orange bar as stamina for these attacks because so far we've seen it with 3 charges, meaning possibly 3 special attacks inside of it, which might be upgraded as you progress through the game. We have also seen weapons such as hammers use different types of special attacks, so maybe we'll have the option to use more stamina like 2 or 3 charges to perform other more powerful attacks. These attacks will most likely do more damage and maybe even apply special effects to the hit player, like getting set on fire or the weapon user getting health back. Going over some of the gameplay we've seen on special attacks, we have gameplay of dual dagger users being able to dash forward at different lengths and attack the enemy. But this looks like a more uncharged ability that the daggers will be able to do without using a full stamina bar. Moving on from melee weapon special attacks, we've seen a few special types of weapons that aren't made from a traditional material like wood, stone, or metal like iron or cobalt. The first weapon I want to go over is a legendary rarity weapon, the Demonic Axe. The weapon description says it's a fast, one-handed axe, most likely found in some kind of late-game dungeon. It also has 2 special abilities. The first one says it's able to take the soul out of killed enemies and boost your attack for a short time, but the second one says it will also reflect some of the damage back at you. Another special type of weapon that we've seen is the Fire Sword, an epic rarity 2-handed slow sword that will have a chance to set the enemy on fire. This will most likely be a reward from the dungeons in Zone 1, because in the gameplay we've seen players raiding a dungeon and getting it from a chest. Moving on from melee weapons, let's talk about its counterpart, the ranged weapons. While we don't have as much info on ranged weapons as we do melee weapons, we do still have enough to know the basics. So far we've seen 4 different types of ranged weapons, excluding magic. There's bows, crossbows, throwing spears, and bombs. Bows and crossbows will both most likely use arrows as their ammo, which might be able to be stored in a quiver. We don't know a lot about how bows and crossbows are different from each other, but guessing on how we've seen them in gameplay and how they are in other games, bows will have weaker damage but longer range and a faster firing speed, and crossbows will have more damage but less range and a slower firing speed. We've also seen bows used by skeleton rangers during a Zone 1 dungeon. It takes them a few seconds to pull back on the string on the back of the bow, and then the arrow shoots. But I don't think I really need to say how a bow works, so moving on, we have throwing spears, which are technically both a melee and ranged weapon, but I'm just going to go over them here so we can pretend we have more ranged weapons. In gameplay we've seen throwing spears have 2 attacks. A melee one where you jab straight ahead of you, like the video that's probably playing right now if I remember to add it, and then the spear throw, where you raise the spear in the air and toss it at a target. Hopefully after you throw it you can pick it back up, or else there's going to be a lot of spears on the ground in fights. If you like exploding things or juggling, we have bombs in Hytale. They are one of the weapons of the goblins, and so far we've seen that you'll be able to throw bombs, and of course they will explode as bombs do, and it will blow up people and blocks. Maybe we'll have other types of bombs like magic bombs. It would be cool to see a lightning bomb that shocks everything around it, or an ice bomb that freezes everything around it. Lastly, we have magic. Magic is definitely the part of Hytale I am looking most forward to. There's just so much I want to say about it, which is why I'm also working on a video talking about what I want to see in Hytale. Anyway, so far we've seen a few types of magical weapons, in both gameplay and concepts such as wands, staves, and spellbooks. First off, I want to go over spellbooks, which will probably be the first magic item you'll get. We've seen them drop from skeleton mages in Zone 1 dungeons, and from what we've seen from spellbooks, they will be a 2-handed, quick, low damage weapon that takes a second to charge up. So far we've seen the purple spellbook get used in a fight, where it shoots green fireballs, and because the book is purple and it shoots green fireballs, I'm guessing it's either purely the void element or a void fire hybrid. One thing I should mention that is still generally unconfirmed is if magic will use mana, because we've seen footage of the purple spellbook being used with and without mana. Personally, I do think that most magic will need mana. My reason to believe this is because of this screenshot that should be on the screen right now. The player is using the same purple spellbook as before, and has fired another green fireball. But if you take a close look at that blue bar on the bottom right of the health bar, it looks like some of it has been drained, and next to their spellbooks they have a blue potion. So I believe that Hytale will have mana, and in the original skeleton battle footage, maybe they had the mana or the mana bar turned off because they haven't finished it yet. Moving on, we have wands, which we do not really know a lot about. What we do know is that they are a one-handed, small weapon that will probably be about the size of a stick. Maybe wands will be able to cast spells from multiple elements, because it doesn't really make sense to have both spellbooks and wands when they both would probably work the same. We've seen a few wands in concept art, but so far no real gameplay or images from them yet. The last magical weapon that we have are staves, which are large weapons that could possibly be both a one- and two-handed weapon, and it will most likely be the most powerful magic weapon there is. So far we've seen gameplay for the fire and ice staves. A player is seen using the fire staff when fighting a Outlander Colossus, shooting a massive fireball that knocks the Colossus' head back. We have also seen the ice staff in a Hytale trailer. The only known attack of the ice staff so far is being slammed down into the ground, which will freeze the ground in front of you and cover it with ice spikes, causing the enemies to slip and fall on the ice spikes, which will probably hurt a lot because, you know, ice spikes are pointy and stuff. Anyway, onto my opinions. Personally, I'm extremely excited for Hytale's combat. It will definitely be way more complicated than Minecraft's, which I'm looking forward to. I will most likely use magic as my main type of combat, with either a ranged or melee secondary. I'd love to see more about both ranged and magic combat though. I would also love it if you could combine magic with weapons like an enchanter. We already have a fire sword, so maybe we could get some more magic infused weapons like it. Imagine using air magic to make a high-speed bow or a type of fantasy energy sword using lightning magic, sort of like a lightsaber. Anyway, if you guys did like the video, consider subscribing to the channel to stay up to date with Hytale news and then some more fun videos I'm working on involving the community. Also, if you want to see more of me, make sure to follow my Twitter and join my Discord. Anyway, have a good rest of your day and I will see you next week. Bye.